Hello, beautiful simmers. Today we are going over the build buy items from the expansion pack Get Famous. This expansion pack retails for $39.99 USD. However, every few months the EA app does offer sales where you can see this pack discounted to $15.99 USD. If you do decide to purchase this expansion pack, you can use a creator code. While it doesn't give you a discount, unfortunately, it is a way to support your favorite creators in that it currently gives them a small commission. Throughout this video, I'll be giving you my thoughts and opinions on these items. Let's get into it. All right, we are starting off with a full-size bed, or a queen bed, I guess you could say. It's definitely not a king, although it would make sense for this pack. Now, this is very royalty-esque in a way. It is the Get Famous pack, so you know they are spending money. This bed is just very odd, very interesting, but it is kind of cool if you want to use it as like a prop, or like if you're having an alien or something like that. I think that's pretty neat. Here we have a fancy chair matching the bed that we had just seen, and then we also have this chair which is more, I don't know, it's more architectural, and if that makes sense. Then we have this one that goes with the bed as well. And we also have this chair here, which is more for a table and chairs. It's okay, I guess. Not my favorite. And of course, we're going to need this folding chair for acting. You know, they always have those on set. And then we have a dining chair here as well. It goes with the theme of the royaliness of the pack. Another dining chair. And this one is even more extravagant than the prior one. We have a, oh, I wanted to call it a booth. It's not a booth. It's a tall chair. I can't think of the name. I'm so sorry. But we also have the tall one. And then we have this gaming chair, which is pretty cool because some of the other packs aren't so great on the chairs. We also have this couch that does, I feel like it does go pretty decent with the one that we saw earlier. The chair, I should say. And then we have this one, which is more elegant and more in depth with the fortune aspect of this game. And the chair that we had saw earlier is a match to that little love seat. We have a bench for outside, which is great. It's got the little advertisement logos on it, which, you know, definitely does play into certain gameplay items, I guess you could say. And then we have this one, which I feel like is more like a waiting room chair, I guess you could say. I don't know. This is just like a huge couch chair. It's very interesting to me. We have a coffee table. It's see-through. And then we have this dining table, which I do quite like. It has designs on top of it. And did you see that fun pink, that bright neon pink with the black? That's pretty fun. It reminds me of, what was it, like the 2009, something like that. Anyways, we've got some dressers and some side tables here, and they are all very cohesive. And this one, it almost looks like an ironing board, I'm not gonna lie. We have a little desk here. I'm gonna assume that's a desk, or I guess you could use it as a dining table. I don't know, a coffee table. This one is a coffee table, but it's just so large. I don't understand it. Here's a coffee table that goes more with, I guess, some of the couches that we had seen. And we also do get this shelf. It matches one of the dressers that we saw earlier. It is pre-cluttered, but we do have some some shelving that we can put some stuff on it. We also have this dresser, and then we have this shelf over here. It is definitely more fancy than the prior ones. We have, I'm gonna assume this is a little side table. We also have this sink, and it goes with some of the dressers that we had seen. It's kind of interesting how we've got two different sinks in here, but it is kind of cool because we've got a fancier one and one that is more, I'm gonna say modular, because it reminds me of Tiny Living. And then we've got that golden throne. We also have a shower here. It does have some design, some plumb bobs, if you will. And then we have the fancier shower that is supposed to go with that toilet and sink. We also get this very fancy bathtub with the swan wings on it. Very nice. And then we also have this jacuzzi bathtub, which I would honestly prefer that in real life than I would the other one, but you know, that's my personal opinion. We also have a microphone, and then we have, I'm gonna assume that this is like a disc jockey type table. We've got this hat that is more like an award item, and then we have this makeup chair, which is pretty cool for this pack. I haven't played with it yet, so I'm not sure if the Sims can actually put the makeup on or if it's just for sitting in. I don't know. We also have a couple of video cameras, which is pretty cool. I do think it makes sense for this pack, obviously. We have, I want to call it like a disc jockey, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I feel like it's more of maybe like an editing thing for when they're doing photo shoots and stuff like that. We do get a lot of lights in this pack, which does make sense. We have this moving camera, and then we have a bar that does match some of the items that we'd seen earlier. And this is a more fancy bar that does go very well with the more prominent items that we'd seen. And we also have this one, which I don't know why it has the pull down at the bottom, but we're actually getting quite a few bars in this pack. There's at least 4 of them, so that's kind of interesting. This little square here, you tell me what you think it is, because I'm honestly not sure. We do have a green screen, and then we have a ginormous green screen, so definitely great for gameplay. And then we have some props here, a cannon, and a little getaway area. We do have some flowers. These are pretty cute for decorating outside your house, not gonna lie. I think they're gorgeous. Then we have this plant here. It changes the pot. We also get movie posters as well, which definitely for this pack is a must. We have an arrow sign. You know, you're gonna need that when you're on set, figure out which way to go, I guess. We've got some graffiti, which is pretty cool. I do like having some of that for like just to add more depth and character. We do have some paintings here, and then we have some murals that almost seem like they are for on the side of a building. It would be my opinion. We do get some mirrors. This one right here where it glows around there has to be one of my favorites because I just think that's so fun. I love that. And then we have this one that does tie into the more fancy side of this pack. We also get some curtains, and of course we get curtains more so like the opening stage curtains, so that does make sense. We are getting some different heights as well with some of those curtains, so you can use them for tall, medium, or small. However, this curtain over here, we do get a larger one, like for a wider window, but we aren't seeing them in different sizes for tall, medium, or large walls. We also have these props, which I do think are pretty fun. We have this little table here that goes great for an entryway or in the corner. I think that's pretty cool. It does, again, go with a lot of these things. We also have this sign, which has the swan to match the bathtub, of course. We do have this thing. Apparently I am not in that upper class area to know what that thing is called, but that dinosaur head is pretty cool, is it not? Then we do have this where you can kind of make your own flooring or your own rug. It is kind of neat to use in maybe like a fancy, like if you're making like royalty, a king, queen, and you're not doing the castle type thing, where you're looking more like a modern day thing. I think that's pretty cool. I do see another rug here, and I do like how they have the dirty swatches and some cleaner swatches. I think that's pretty cool. We've got these like Yu-Gi-Oh type card rugs. I don't know. Some of them are, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. But then we do have another swatch of that make your own rug or floor designs, which is kind of cool. It's adding a little bit more. Now we do have this rug, which is very unique, I feel like, because I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be a rug or if it's just supposed to be a design that you can add on there. I'm not quite sure, but I do think it would be cool as a design. I'm curious to know what you guys use. I feel like I do not do enough creative things with this pack, so sometimes watching these videos and going back to them is just a nice refresher to see all the different swatches of items that you do have, so that you can be like, oh yeah, I could totally make something that is, you know, more royalty feeling, or, you know, all that different kind of stuff. Anyways, we do have stuff that I think would be great for a museum, because it does have the stuff that the actors wore on set, or supposedly supposed to be wearing on set. We do have some wall dividers, small, medium, and tall walls. And then we've got some of these wall fixtures, I guess you could say. And then we also have a divide here. I am using cheats, so I believe that that's supposed to stay on the wall. That thing that we just saw, not entirely sure what it is, but here's some swords, so that's cool. We've also got this big old light, which would go great on the outside of a building. We do have some billboards here as well, because of course we're gonna need it for advertising, right? Right. We have some sabers here. We do get a few swatches of those, and this is great for setting up your own movie theater. I think that would be fun. I actually need to make a movie theater for my Sims. We do have a little sword, which reminds me of like the Star Wars ones. We do have a nice, very nice towel rack that definitely does go with our more fancy items. This is more so for a prop. And we do have that. What am I doing? I guess I'm showing you guys this twice. Okay, that's weird. But yeah, this is a prop as well, but you can still use it as like a gate. Then we have this rainbow here, which is pretty cool. We do have more props. Now these are just little outsides of buildings, which does work nice for gameplay, I guess, if you are pretending your Sims are creating a movie. Will you actually use these? I guess for this very specific gameplay, sure. I mean, it does go with the pack, but this is very sci-fi, in my opinion, those two doors that open up. So you can get some more old-timey brick feeling, and you do get some more sci-fi type feelings of this pack as well. We have like an older country saloon type deal. And then again, back to that more sci-fi thing, we do have a camera here, and then we do have this little table of electronics. We also have a set of stairs that is just a prop. We get a few of those. And then we have the Throne of Lies. I'm just calling it that. I really don't know. We have some shipwrecks, a giant toy box, and another item. And we do have the freezer bunny. Again, like I said, there are a ton of props in here. I mean, you could honestly get away with using the debug menu, I feel like, for a lot of, well, not all of this, but you can get some. Now, here's the lamp, and it does have some of the same swatches as some of the blankets on the bed that we had seen earlier. So that's kind of interesting when they do tie those in together. It can be kind of fun. We do have a big old spotlight and also a photo light. I don't know what to call these things, but when you get professional photos done, as we would do, you know, like way back in the day, whatever, when that thing, like when you could go to Sears and you would see people getting family portraits done. We also have some chandelier type lights. Some of them are very interesting. And then, I mean, this one looks like a clam to me. I'm not gonna lie. It does kind of also remind me of like a hibiscus flower. So that is kind of cool. Again, we get more lights. Are these functional or are they props? I don't know. At least not yet. Now we do have this light, which is pretty cool, you know. I'm curious to find out whether it blinks different colors or if it's just, I don't think it's gonna blink. I don't know. I'm very curious, but we do have these wall lights as well, and they do match the chandeliers that we have. We have this ginormous light. I don't know if that is functioning or not. We have, it looks like some of them that you unlock, and then we have a big old, I'm gonna call it like a TV, but this would be perfect in making your theater. Now we do have a record player. I am curious to find out if this is functional or not. We've got a drone here because of course we do. It's gonna go great with movies. We've also got this helmet here as a decoration. We do get a few different swatches of that. We have this desk here for like editing videos and stuff, which is pretty cool. I think that this is the only pack that allows you to do that kind of stuff. So if you want to, then unfortunately you do have to get this pack. We have another shelf and another shelf. So I think we've got, what, 4 or 5 shelves now? I feel like we end up getting a lot of shelving. And here's like a prop of clothing, like a clothing rack. We also have another dresser, which honestly, this stuff is reminding me of Tiny Living, or am I just mixing things up in my head? I don't know. But then we have a shoe display. So that is pretty nice for this pack because, you know, some people do have their shoes on display, and I feel like we've all maybe watched some of those house tours where it's like, oh my God, your closet is the size of a house. But we do have some elevator doors here, and now we're getting into wallpapers. We've got some nice royalty type of wallpapers that do go with some of the stuff that we'd seen earlier. And then we've got some more, I'm going to say more Western type of wallpapers. And then we have more modern brick type. And then of course the outside of the walls, I feel like for the houses, oh wow, we got zoomed in there. You can see the texture on that, and you can also see that there is lines between the swatches, but yeah, there's a lot of texture, and for some reason there is light up above on this swatch. So depending on how high you have your walls, you will notice that some of these swatches at the top are lighter, and I don't know why they did it. They just did, I guess. We do have some more modern bricklaying. These marbles, I don't know why, but I have a thing for the marble type. I don't understand why I like it so much, but it's kind of difficult to utilize in the game though. I don't really know. But we also have some outer type for the house. This is on the outside. I think that would go very well for the outside of the house, if that makes any sense. But now we're getting into windows, and I set them up differently this time just because there were so many swatches. I'm like, we did not have the time to go through it like that, so we're doing it this way. But I mean, these are, I'm gonna just say, kind of regular windows. They do feel more like an older style window, maybe from the, I want to say 70s, 80s? I don't know. But they do feel like an older type window to me, in my opinion. They're, you know, they have more of the lines going through them, if that makes any sense whatsoever. These next ones are more modern, and I'm gonna just say, like, you know, you see those houses that are very, beige boring. Like, yes, beige boring can be super nice, but it's reminding me of like Kim Kardashian's house, where it's just like there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? So I did want to show this to you guys, where you can see that the inside of the swatch is changing colors as well. So you do see like the inside will turn black and white, and then you see the outer side, the outer color is changing as well. We have this one little random window. It's just, I can't remember if we actually have a matching one to that or if it's just a random one. But these ones are pretty cool. These ones are more for, I'm gonna say more for your famous sim, because it does give me that vibe. And also you can see with the swatches, it's matching that very upscale type sim, you know. Oh god, Agnes Crumplebottom, is that who the famous sim is in this pack? I can't remember. So I moved that window over and put it by this more modern window. I just assuming they're going together. So now we are going towards the other side of the windows, and I just wanted to show you all that because I do think it is important to see what both sides look like, just so you can get an idea. Now those windows, I do think that if you use cheats, you could actually put stuff on the windowsill, but I do think that that's pretty cool. You can see the little latch on there, the little lock. I just love when we have details like that. It is awesome. But some of these windows, like I said, why do we just have those two random windows? I don't know. Now on to doors. We're actually getting a functioning elevator type door. And I'm not seeing any swatches of that one, so I do apologize. Now we do have some more modern ones. Now that second one that we see, not the one that we're on right now, but the next one, it does seem, remember those little random windows that it's just like, what are you doing here? It's like we could put that on the other side of the door if we wanted to, so that's kind of interesting. But it is kind of, it's very interesting with this pack because I'm just trying to figure out why we have some of these type of doors when we don't have the windows that seem to match. But then again, we do have some base game windows that match, so you know. Now we do have these more fancy type doors, and we do have the red rope that is keeping people out. Well, I guess it doesn't keep people out because all you have to do is just duck under it. So there's that. But it does go very well with this pack. Now, this one's kind of cool because look at that. Do you see the inside where it almost looks like there's blinds in there, or it's like a textured window where you aren't supposed to be able to see through it? So I do think that's pretty cool. We have this door here. Look at that. I love the details when they put the details on the knobs and the keyholes and everything like that. I think that is so awesome. This door is also perfect for this pack. We have different signs on it. We have one that has a star, and you know, one, they're all kind of different. And I did want to click and show you guys what we have for curved walls. And now we are on to these little balcony pieces. I'm not really entirely sure what these are. But we did see the flowers earlier, and I guess we're just gonna look at them again because they're pretty. I cannot think of the name of the flowers. I do know it, but I just can't think of it. We have this wall decoration, which is weird, and then we have this awning of a window. Now we do have some caution tape here as well. This is some of our gates, I guess you could call it. It is kind of interesting. We do have so many different colors, and this one right here with the red and white, it honestly reminds me of the railroad crossing. Now we do have some other fencing, and I did turn off the daytime so you can see them what they are at nighttime, so they do light up, which I think is really cool. I do think that would be fun to put outside of a house or a nightclub or something like that. I think that would be very nice. I do think that is cool. But as you can see, when I move to different angles, it does a little bit of weird things. Now we have these gates and this fence, which I think is kind of odd because the fence is ginormous compared to, or the gate is ginormous compared to the fence. It's like, what is going on here? But they do match very well. And I did have to show you guys, look, the columns actually go with the fencing and the gate. So I did want to show you guys that. Now, do we have swatches that match perfectly with all of them? No. But we do have some that match perfectly. So that is kind of cool. It's just, I don't know. The gates are just huge. It's like you could literally step over the fence instead of going through the gate. So I don't quite understand unless we are getting another gate. But I guess we'll find out, right? Now, we do get a lot of designs on these gates and fences, which is pretty cool. I do think that this is actually very nice and very upscale, and maybe not so much modern, but I do think it's fun because it does give something different that we're not used to seeing all the time. And yes, don't get me wrong, I love the modern stuff, but it is fun to just have those different Sims that are, you know, like we have ones that like the finer things in life and have to have this and look a certain way, you know. I think it's kind of fun to create each different type of Sim and what they might do. But anyways, I had to show you guys that this one is almost like a marble type in the fence, so that is kind of interesting. Now I guess we do get some taller fence here, so this one makes a lot more sense. But isn't it just crazy that some of those just go so perfectly together? Now those, I will say, the little infinity signs do almost look like bows from afar, so that's kind of interesting. But I don't know, on the fence, I had to show you guys that. And again, we do get some matching columns here. It works for either way, but I wanted to show you could put 3 different columns with this. I love that bronzy color, where it's not like super bronze. It's more of like a sparkly modern bronze, I guess you could call it, if that makes any sense. But you guys are going to have to let me know what you are thinking so far in the comments below, because I do like to hear what you guys have in mind, like what's going on in your mind. But yeah, I'm just going through the swatches there of some of those, and I did have to show you, we've got, like, it's so weird to have the fencing, and I am not sure if they are going to step over this or not. But it's interesting because we do have some shorter swatches and some longer swatches as well. But I did want to show you that you could see how you could put them together. Now, we do have these staircases that light up, which I think is super fun. And the matching railings, oh my god, I love it. It does tie into the outdoors, the outdoor fencing that we have. And then we have the very nice magical staircase, which I do think we need a rounded staircase, or something like that. I mean, Sims Freeplay has a rounded staircase, but like, I do think those are pretty cool. Now we are going up into, I believe these are called friezes, are they not? But you can see some of that texture on there. Now we do have some different roofing ornaments, or whatever you want to call them. We've got quite a few here, and some of them do seem like they could go for the fancy house, and some of them look more like they are air ducts, to be completely honest. Do they not? But either way, we do have quite a few different sizes, which I do think is cool. They can be used for industrial buildings as well. Now we have a little pool tile for the outside of the pool, and I do think these are really cool. They've got that marbly-ness to it. Then we do have a water fountain here for the super fancy, rich, wealthy Sims, of course. And then we do have these that we went through earlier, but you could totally use these around the pool like I did here. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you could actually, I wonder, yeah, there we go. You can put these things in the pool. So I do think that that's really cool to do as well. So you can have a fancy pool, and yeah. But now we're getting into the flooring. We do have the marble flooring, which, you know, I love the marble. And then we do have some other flooring that I want to say it gives a little bit of texture to it, but it does kind of remind me of a marble as well. And then, oh wow, what goes on when I move too fast? It's something that we just can't figure out in technology. But anyways, we do have some tiled flooring, which would go great in a kitchen, I feel like. And then we also have some wood flooring, which the swatches are quite dirty. And I do think that that actually is a really cool thing, because I'm not gonna lie, I like to have the grunginess in some of my packs. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like with a different lighting, because some of these do look more pink and some of them look more purple. So it is kind of interesting when you change the light what they're gonna look like. Now we actually have some, I guess you call them the foundation. We have some of those as well, so that is interesting. I just had to use it on this house because I totally forgot about that. Now we are going through the styled rooms just to give you an idea of how you might utilize these items. I do think that this pack is, I mean, kind of different from every other pack that we've gotten. Obviously, it's Get Famous, so there's going to be a lot of items in this pack that you cannot utilize and that are just there for simply decoration. But we do have more gameplay in this pack as well, so I do think that is cool. And apparently, we do have more columns. I am so sorry, guys. We have some more columns, and now we're back to rooms. But I mean, yeah, this, I think I wouldn't spend the $40 on this pack. I would wait until it's on sale, which is what I did personally. I think I either got it for what, $19.99 or $16.99 or $15.99, whatever it was. But yeah, that's just me. I like to typically wait if there's a sale. But again, this is pretty cool how it's set up to where you can get an idea of how you can utilize these props for the Get Famous. With all that stuff, there's so much that we're not used to seeing, you know? Look at that little jail cell. It's kind of funny. But how they set it up is very nice. Now, if your Sims can actually utilize these things, I don't know yet. So that is something to keep in mind as well. However, I guess I do know that they will not utilize the tents. They don't utilize it. It's all just pretend. I guess that kind of stuff is just pretend. Now, I imagine they would sit in the chairs here, but I'm not entirely sure. So you can see the waiting room and stuff, which is kind of interesting because I didn't see any of those swatches there, like when we were going through this stuff. But then again, as the game updates, sometimes you see things and sometimes you don't. But this is pretty cool because you see like how they are set up like movie sets. It's pretty neat. I do think that is nice, and it gives you an idea of maybe how you want to set up your own movie prop, which is pretty cool as well. Now we do have this little, okay, it's gonna remind me like the Wiggles or something like that in that's more reminiscent of certain TV shows, I guess. This is actually really pretty here, this little park. Whatever, but this is kind of cool. It's just really nice to see how they set up these different pieces, because I feel like this pack would be a little bit harder for me to figure out how to exactly set things up. That's just me personally, but you guys are going to have to let me know what you're thinking of this pack in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please do give it a like and consider subscribing, as it does help my channel out. Leave your thoughts in the comments as well. Remember that you are important and the world needs you in it. I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.